Game 5 tonight, my friends. Game 5, pivotal Game 5 between the Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers. Here's how the Miami Heat can turn things around. Oh, it is. It is. Another episode, Tuesday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. I'm with you for about 35 minutes today, guys, because I've got to take my kid to the dentist. I got to wrap things up around 2:30, 2:35 today. You remember when he had his little incident around the house about 2 weeks ago? Tooth got knocked clean out. Yeah, he's got to go back to the dentist and make sure there's nothing infected or any other issues going on. I think he's all right, but we will find out later on today. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. Huge welcome to everybody who's already in the live chat. Want to remind you, the live chat is a lot of fun, guys. If you are watching us live here on 1:59 p.m., May 10th, year of our Lord 2022, and you're logged into a valid Google account, YouTube account, feel free to live chat. Everybody's pretty nice in there for the most part. I don't think we've had like too many altercations in the live chat. We're all pretty friendly and nice with one another. And I read most of the live chat messages and I throw shout outs at the end of the show. And also, whether you are watching us live or you watch this later on via replay, smash that like button. Smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. I see the live chat is it's hopping already. How about this enthusiasm for playoff basketball here from my guy Ray, I know Ray mostly from Hurricanes football. He says, "Afternoon, Alex. Can't wait till the NBA season is over." Like, is that it? Do you think the Heat are going to be out soon? Is that why you say that? The NBA playoffs have actually been pretty good for the most part, and more enthusiasm. David says, some more mushing is about to go down. But hello to Canes 1989. Being a little bit nicer to me. And you guys know, if you want to bust my balls, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. We all have fun. It's all in love. I know these people. I know most of you guys in the chat. So you mean it with love. Good afternoon to Big Dan 305. So I do, and I need to get this out of the way quickly before Brooklyn Rob logs in, because this would make him very angry if he was here to see this. Okay. But before we dive head first into Miami Heat basketball, and that's going to be 95% of the episode today. And Brady Hawk is going to be joining us at 2:15. The boy wonder. He's going to tell us how the Heat are going to take a 3-2 series lead tonight. But I do have to say this, at the risk of mushing them, I have to give credit where credit was due. I had an awesome time, although I had some heart palpitations, but I had an awesome time watching the Florida Panthers last night even up their series. Cardiac Cats, they're down 2-1 in Washington late. I thought their goose was cooked. They pull Sergei Bobrovsky with over 3 minutes. That's obviously a roll of the dice. You need a goal, but the empty netter is always a risk. With just over 2 minutes, the Capitals literally hit a goal post of an empty net. So again, I thought our goose was cooked there for a second because I thought it was going in. Then the Panthers tie it up with 2:04 left on a Sam Reinhart goal. They send it to overtime. And with playoff overtime, you don't know, like, are we going to be here all night? Because they just keep playing full periods until somebody scores. Like, it's not like in the regular season where they do the 3-on-3, then they do the penalty shootout. So I didn't know how long that was going to go. It didn't take long, though, because Carter Verhaeghe soon thereafter scores the game winner. We all know, and you can say this about basketball and hockey, 7-game series. We all know that the difference between a 2-2 series and being down 3-1 is massive, and the Florida Panthers get their home ice advantage back. Much in the way the Miami Heat still have their home court advantage. I know you lose 2 straight games. There's frustration. I think that's the best way to describe it. Like, I think we vented a little bit on yesterday's episode because we were on, the day after the Game 4 loss, which evened up the series at 2, the 76ers did. There's a ton of frustration that comes into play when your team had a 2-0 series lead and then you see that advantage evaporate and then it just becomes a best of 3 series now. I still think the Heat have the better squad. I do take comfort in the fact that 2 out of those final 3 games are going to be at FTX Arena, where the Heat have not lost yet in this postseason. And my money and the Vegas odds money is on the Miami Heat, who are, at least last I checked yesterday, were minus 140 to advance in the series. So despite the fact that you've got a turncoat out there like JJ Redick, who was picking the Heat, now he's not picking the Heat. Now he's picking the 76ers. He stuck the knife in our back. And I know some others out there said, yeah, I thought the Heat would win the series, but now I'm feeling Philadelphia. I'm sticking to my guns. Was I a lot more comfortable kicking my feet up, about 4 days ago when Miami had a 2-0 lead in the series? Of course. But I still think this is Miami's series to win. And I think having home court advantage has a lot to do with that. Now, it is very ironic right now that all season long, here I am singing the praises of the Miami Heat for not being about one player or any one superstar or even a duo or a trio of superstars, but just being a team, right? Having so much depth on any night, any given night, you never know who's going to step up and be the X factor or the difference maker or the leading scorer. Because, right, a lot of nights it was Tyler who was the leading scorer and not even Jimmy, who is your quote unquote superstar. Depth, versatility. I was singing the praises of that all season long and through the first 7 games Miami played through the postseason. But over the past 2 games, and I hope this isn't a pattern that we keep seeing unfold, right, for however much longer the Heat playoff adventure lasts. Over the past 2 games, which have both been losses, it's been Jimmy Butler and just a bunch of guys. Jimmy carrying the team and a bunch of hangers on. This Heat team, for good or for bad, and I think it is for good, but you need others to contribute. But this Heat team, they are not built to be carried by one guy. Right now, I know the 76ers think they're deep, but Joel Embiid makes a much bigger difference to Philadelphia than any one player on the Miami Heat makes. This team is not built to be carried by one guy. And as much as I love Jimmy Butler, he can only carry you so far if nobody else is stepping up. Like this is not prime LeBron. It's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. You can't expect Jimmy to carry you through the Eastern Conference if nobody else is stepping up. Because right now, guys, instead of the Beatles or the Heatles, if you'd prefer that, it's become Hootie and the Blowfish. Jimmy is Darius Rucker. And of course, nobody has any clue who the rest of the people are in Hootie and the Blowfish. I couldn't pick any of those people out of a lineup except for Darius Rucker. That's what the Heat have been these last couple of games. Darius Rucker has been Jimmy Butler. And then you've got a bunch of, replaceable people who are not stepping up and contributing, at least not nearly enough, man. So, here's something. I did get a couple of people asking about, the Heat's approach and adjustments. Something we do know, it's a long injury list with a lot of people who are questionable, most of which will play. Not Kyle Lowry, though. Kyle Lowry has been ruled out. So Kyle Lowry has been ruled out tonight. Honestly, I think the Heat are, based on the way the previous 2 games went, I think with Kyle Lowry being ruled out tonight, I think the Heat are better off. Get him fully healthy again, okay? I think we're better off for the rest of the series without Kyle Lowry out there. He clearly isn't 100% hamstring. Now, I broke down yesterday just the differences between Kyle Lowry's issues and Joel Embiid's issues, because a lot of people would say, well, how come Joel Embiid can play injured and be such a factor and Kyle Lowry is injured and he's not helping a whole lot? Well, there's a big difference when you're talking about injuries to your face versus an injury to your hamstring, which limits so much more. It's impacted him more offensively than it has defensively, but just unfortunately in the shape that he's been in, because you could see him favoring that hamstring, and apparently he re-aggravated in game 4. I just think right now, until he's fully right again, the Heat are better off with Kyle Lowry. They had developed more of a rhythm without him. So sit him until he's 100%. Gabe Vincent has proven he can do that job. And then if you get through this series and you take on probably Boston, maybe Milwaukee, whoever it is, it's going to be tougher than this current series. Then new series comes with a completely new game plan, completely new rhythm. You can reintegrate Kyle Lowry when he's fully healthy in the next series. I don't think he's doing you enough good right now. I honestly don't. But my friends, we need Gabe, Tyler, Strus, PJ, and company. Everybody's got to shoot better. Okay. I'm hoping that a lot of what I saw in game 4, I'm not going to call it a fluke, but I think you can call it an aberration because those were good looks that they weren't knocking down. It'd be one thing if everything was contested and they're putting up desperate shots, terrible shots. Then you come out of that and say, oh man, what is this defensive matchup? What is Philadelphia doing to us that we can't figure out? But the Heat have missed so many open looks these last couple of games, especially game 4, that you've got to think statistical aberration and also being on your home floor where the cliche always goes, role players play better at home than they do on the road, that more of those shots are going to start falling, man. That more of those shots are going to start falling. But game 3, 7 for 30 from 3. It's not good enough, right? Not in today's NBA, right? I mean, if you hit 7 3-pointers in like 1989, you're probably, oh my God, we hit 7 3-pointers. We scored 98 points. We've never scored this many points before. No, in 2022, you shoot 7 for 30 from 3. You're not winning too many playoff games that way. Game 4, 7 for 35 from 3. And all of this, my friends, and especially with Lowry being out of the picture tonight, I don't know, man. I'm expecting Duncan Robinson to get a little burn this evening. I am. I think we're going to see Dunk finally get some minutes tonight. Now, I don't really track too many people's social media. I followed Duncan Robinson on Twitter today. If he knows some of the things that I've said about him before, I don't think he's going to hit the follow back button, but I did follow Duncan Robinson on Twitter today because I just kind of realized, I wasn't following him and I probably should be because I'm a Heat fan. But his agent, his sports agent, his agency tweeted out something kind of interesting yesterday. They're sending a very not so subtle message that they're frustrated, and I'm sure he's frustrated that he's not playing in this series. Like, I mean, he's done a pretty good job keeping a level head when he talks to the media. I can't imagine what he's saying in private because riding the pine the way that he has, it's clearly frustrating. I think he's earned some of that based on his uneven performances this year. But Duncan's agency tweeted out yesterday, quote, exactly 19 months ago today. So 19 months ago yesterday, Duncan Robinson put up 26 points, including 7 3-pointers in a win in the 2020 NBA Finals. And then with that, they included a couple of rocket emojis, a couple of fire emojis, and a wink emoji. So they're sending a hint that they're frustrated and their guy should play tonight. Now, I will ask, though, where was that energy from the agency when he was starting and he was bricking everything? You didn't hear them piping up then, right? But okay, you hear them piping up now that the other shooters on the team aren't shooting, they're not hitting, and Duncan's not playing. And I agree with the overall sentiment. Oh, he's probably right, Brooklyn Rob. He says, Mush, deep down, Duncan hates you as much as Tua. I don't, and I'm not the type of person that would wear that with a badge of honor. So like I've been critical of Duncan Robinson. I refer to him as the $90 million bricklayer. I've also been critical of Tua Tagovailoa at times. I don't listen. Tua probably has no idea who I am. I'm not delusional. I'm like, oh, Tua goes to bed at night thinking about me. He has no idea who I am. His trainer knows who I am, and I don't think the trainer likes me very much. And there's a lot of people out there meaner than me because I like Tua. I'm rooting for Tua. I'm rooting for Duncan Robinson. I just get critical of these guys sometimes. But yeah, and honestly, I think the Heat should give Duncan some burn tonight, unless the game starts and just everyone in the starting 5 is shooting lights out, and they're like, well, maybe we don't need Duncan, whatever. But no, I think Duncan Robinson should get some burn tonight. I thought he should have gotten some burn in game 4. And when everyone was clanking shots, I thought Eric Spoelstra should have gone into the lab and come out of the lab with Duncan Robinson and given him an opportunity. Like I really thought so. Because again, you're paying this man $90 million. You know, there have been times this year when he's been inconsistent and he hasn't helped you on the court. I get it. But he's certainly not helping you sitting on the edge of the bench. And it's okay to do that if everyone else's shots are falling. But when they're not, maybe it's time to give an opportunity to the man who is literally the best three-point shooter in the history of this franchise. Maybe it's time to give that guy an opportunity, okay? So that's where we're at with Miami tonight. Let me pull up the betting line because I haven't looked at. Okay, the Heat. This is what I thought. The Heat are favored by 2.5 points tonight. So you notice how the perception has shifted a little bit based on Philly growing into this series and Joel Embiid coming back. Game 3 and 4 was a huge factor. The Heat were 7.5 point favorites for each of the first 2 games at home. They were, I believe, 2.5 point favorites, or 1.5 point favorites in Game 3 on the road. 2.5 point underdogs in Game 4 on the road. They didn't cover. They did cover the first 2 games when they were 7.5 point favorites, and now they are 2.5 point favorites at home. So the betting public, or at least the sports books, are expecting a bounce back, but a pretty close game tonight. Let's go out and bring in our very good pal who does just a sensational job covering the Heat in the NBA for 5reasonsports.com. Brady Hawk is with us. Brady, good afternoon, and thank you so much for the fact that you are going to the game tonight. That makes me feel good because you are good luck.
Yeah, I try. It's not. I don't know if it's me or just a really good home crowd because I guess they've won every home game, but I haven't been to a loss this postseason yet. So,
Oh, I love that. So, okay, we found out earlier today Kyle Lowry is ruled out. And listen, I've been listening to you throughout the week, so I don't think you have any issue with that, right? Because to me, he's clearly not 100%, and I think he also threw their rhythm off a little bit. So, do you think the Heat are even better off without Lowry tonight?
I wouldn't say better off in the sense that they're better without him, but I think, yes, in terms of what you just said tonight, most definitely. Like, even before all the stuff happened in that game where he was holding his hamstring, like I mentioned, there was 2 instances where he basically got on the open floor and got like an open layup on the fast break, and both of them was him kind of trailing back down to the defensive end, holding his hamstring. That was a signal that, for one, he's not 100%. But I think even before that, looking into Game 3, when we were talking about his struggles, not willing to shoot the pull-up out of the pick and roll and kind of just being short on a lot of jumpers, I don't know if he was 100% to begin with. Like, it just didn't seem it just felt like there was no way he was going to play in this game. It just felt hard, and especially they have the guys, not to say that they don't need Kyle Lowry, but they have enough guys that if he's not 100%, they're better off going to the next guy and allowing him to heal up. So I think it's the right move, and now it may open up a slot for a certain shooter that is not playing in their rotation.
And that's the perfect segue. I was talking about that certain shooter right before you came on. Honestly, I thought Spo should have given him some minutes in Game 4 when nobody was hitting anything. So he's got to give him some time in Game 5, right?
Yeah, he's got to. I don't see a way, especially now. I know a lot of people want to see kind of rotation changes in terms of starting lineup changes. I don't think we see a major difference. Maybe it's Tyler Hero, but it's still hard for me to go into that right now. I think the goal is to play Max Strus in that starting lineup, just because the only way you can play both Duncan and Strus is to have one in the starting lineup, because you're not playing both of them off the bench together. So in that instance, if they continue that, you have Hero, Depot, and Duncan probably coming off the bench together. And as we've seen, you just need shooting right now. Like, we can dive into a lot of this in general, these 2 games. It's not very complicated to say that 14 of 65 is why they're losing these games. They just have to make open shots. It's not even about kind of processing to get better looks. They've gotten pretty decent looks. It just comes down to making them. And as much, however you may feel about Duncan Robinson in general, you're going to trust him, or at least feel good about him shooting an open 3 off a curl. And if they start blitzing him, it opens up the lane for Bam Adebayo, as we've seen in the past, if he hits that pocket pass. So I think there's advantages there. And I can't really see a route where they don't go to him, at least tonight, especially with Spo's comments as of late, where he's kind of saying, we're like, yeah, it's been on the back of my mind. Yeah, maybe I should have gone to it. And he's kind of like hinting toward it more and more.
Yeah, I could tell based on what Duncan's agency tweeted out with that little and also like 9 months is not really an anniversary either. It's like if something happened like a year ago
Yeah.
today, then it's like, hey, or it was 19 months, I think it was like 19 months is not an
Mhm.
anniversary, but they're like 19 months ago today, Duncan scored 20. It's like, okay,
It's ironic.
49 days ago today, he scored. Yeah, that's actually a good point. It is ironic, but yeah, he scored 27 points in a NBA Finals victory. So they're obviously frustrated. Do you think, and because like I will nitpick Spo not playing Duncan in game 4, but do you think for the most part has Spo mismanaged Duncan? Has he treated his time unfairly, or do you agree with the approach of sitting him for this entire series so far?
I think it's hard to say mismanaging because even if you look at Heat Twitter or Heat fans in general, everybody was chanting, I guess, for him to be benched when he was struggling. They're saying, give the time to Victor Oladipo, give the time to
Mm.
Max Strus to put him in the starting lineup. Now it's kind of all flipped on its head where you're saying, what is he doing? Why is he not playing Duncan Robinson? So it's kind of nitpicking, I guess, in that way. But I feel like in terms of the series itself, like that's the adjustment. Like I don't see like there's schematic adjustments that we can talk about, obviously, but in terms of rotation, you're not sitting here saying, even though some people do say it, where they say, oh, Omer Yurtseven should get thrown in. Omer Yurtseven doesn't fix any of the problems that we've seen. Like that's not the issue here. Duncan Robinson can fix all the problems that we've seen. Maybe you're worried about some of the stuff defensively with kind of being in the right spot against Joel Embiid, but other than that, they need him in the rotation right now. And if the thing on my point about the whole situation with the rotation is that when you have more depth, you're allowed to have a shorter leash, and that doesn't mean you could still play the guys like Jimmy and Bam and all these other guys their same amount of minutes, but you could switch out and interchange a guy like Strus and Duncan or a guy like Gabe and Caleb when you have these kind of same type of players and defenders or shooters. I think that's the way you got to utilize it and just play it game by game. As he says, it's a playoff rotation. It's not a 9-man rotation.
By the way, I don't really think I agree with Fernando here. I don't think it's that dire. He says the fact that we are down to Duncan Robinson being our hope to win a game lets you know a lot where we stand in the series. Well, no, at least I think that there's just got to be hope that a lot of things go better in general, right? And we know
It's
how
more
much.
about
Yeah,
it's
go
more
ahead.
about the shooting in general than Duncan Robinson himself.
Okay.
Like it's more about what Duncan Robinson provides than what Duncan Robinson is. Like if they just shoot the ball better, like it's really that simple. It's we can look at individual players because it's pretty obvious that Jimmy Butler needs help right now. Like he needs an extra body next to him just be able to put the ball in the basket. But if he has some role players that when they're collapsing on him, because they will tonight, like they know that Jimmy Butler is the only threat at this moment in time, they're going to collapse on him when he's driving to the basket. That kick out has to be there. Like guys like Gabe in that starting lineup, a guy like Max, even a PJ in the corner, they have to capitalize. And that's kind of the difference maker. I won't say it's all on Duncan.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think both of us, based on the conversation we had last week, maybe underestimated how much of an impact Joel Embiid would have, coming off of his issues. Now, obviously, um, part of the Heat losing, it's on them, but also part of the Heat losing 2 games. Joel Embiid has been massive. Like he's put in big time double doubles in both of
Mm-hmm.
those games. Like, have you been surprised that he's not playing like somebody who's really limited?
Yeah, I was saying even on last week's show where I was saying he won't be 100%. The reason why I'm surprised is not the offensive stuff. Like I felt like we knew he was going to provide this offensively. It's actually the defensive stuff. Like I was saying before game 3, like you got to go at him, you got to get him moving, you got to try to like go at him at those certain spots. He's been really good defensively. Like he's making sure that he does not move away from the rim at a lot of times when he's in that deep drop. He's deterring a lot of the role players from getting to the basket. He's doing a great job blitzing against Tyler Hero and able to recover. So the things he's able to do defensively, I feel like is more impactful. And I didn't expect that right out the gate, at least. Like we know what he is. He's an MVP caliber player. But that's the difference maker. I think that's the counter here. Like you can only do so much against him defensively. But they got to find a way to counter that stuff and just not allow him to dictate defensively.
All right, I waited this long, but let me get into the national media narrative because James Harden looked really good in Game 4, like 31 points. That's he hadn't scored over 25, I think, in a 15-game stretch. He'd really been more of a distributor, so he has a big offensive game and 6 of 10 from three. Like Harden was really good. Can he do that like more than once, Brady? Like, can he capture that lightning in a bottle and do that again in this series?
I think he can, but I don't know if he will. But the
Yeah.
reason I say that is because we know what James Harden is. Like he's been an MVP, but it's just they're so focused on a guy in Joel Embiid that he's the release valve for their offense. Like if they're going to dip down, he's going to have an advantage there to hit that step back. It just comes down to him hitting the contested shot or not. I don't think they did a bad job on him defensively at all. They were there. They defended much differently. If you look at the contest on a James Harden jumper compared to anybody else, they do like a side swipe where they go to the right or the left of him because they do not want to get in his landing area to draw a foul. They've done a good job with that. Bam's switching out on him a ton. And if you look in the fourth quarter when he basically did most of his damage, there were a couple of stats out there. I think it was 13 of 17, like late in the shot clock in the fourth or overall. That was most of Harden scoring. Like you're going to live with that. If his 31 included a bunch of late shot clock heaves that went in, you got to live with that. So I think he can do it again. I think he's able to. I don't know if he will. I think Embiid and Maxey are still 1 and 2 in terms of who you're focused on.
We got some Sixer fans in the building as well. And listen, we'll be civil. We appreciate Sixer fans checking in. You're watching the channel. Just while you're in here, my friend Ethan, smash the like button, hit the thumbs up button. Even if you may not like our Heat takes, still give us a little bit of love there. Brady, would you rather have a Philly cheesesteak or a pan con bistec on Calle Ocho? Well, what's the better sandwich?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm not. I have 305 in my name on Twitter, but I'm not. I don't live in Miami, so like I don't know if
You're
I can go that.
Neither does Udonis Haslem. Udonis Haslem lives in Broward.
Very true. Very true. So we're in the same boat there. I don't know, but I've also never been to Philly, so I'm going to say no comment.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Listen, and you know what? Brady is one of the more responsible people that we have on this network because a lot of others would have just given an answer for the sake of giving an answer. That was fair. That was fair stuff by Brady. So, all right, now that the series is tied at 2, and Philly, they built some momentum for the people who believe in that. I do believe in momentum. I know, like the Levitard generation is like, well, Levitard told me momentum doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. And I love Levitard, by the way. But there's a lot of people who now have that school of thought. I do believe in momentum, but I also think the Heat being able to take the series back home is big. So, how do you think the series finishes, Brady?
Yeah, I will say when you say momentum, this is even a bigger case of momentum because Joel Embiid wasn't there for games 1 or 2. And mentally for Philly, they're saying this isn't only momentum coming off 2 home wins. This is us being kind of full and whole as our team is. So they're feeling really well that you kind of have to go out there. And I think that's where the struggle comes from Heat fans, where they're saying, okay, it's 2-2, but you kind of feel like you're down. The reason is because you haven't beat this Philly team with Joel Embiid and you haven't seen what they can do. You don't know if it's the home crowd or was it not having Joel Embiid. So I think that's kind of the factor here. I think in this game, I really do think this comes down to Tyler Hero. I talked about in my latest article kind of the ways he can counter some of the things they threw at him. I think they did a decent job on him. A lot of it, he had open looks in that game. Like he really could take advantage of in general of just hitting those open looks. But they did a good job on him, basically just forcing him out into half court, blitzing out, making him make that extra pass, speeding him up. Jimmy Butler's going to do what Jimmy Butler does in this game. We've seen that all series. They need that second piece to step up. And I think that guy has to be Tyler Hero. Like we know Bam at times can have those moments, but they need scorer Tyler Hero tonight, even with the shooting. Like if the shooting comes along as well, I think that's going to be big. But I think Miami gets this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes 7, but I think Miami gets this one in particular. And I think it's kind of behind another Jimmy masterclass.
Yeah, my original pick was Heat in 5, and that's when I had the Joel Embiid voodoo doll, and I was like poking the eye socket with the pin, and that didn't work. So yeah, now I'm going Heat in 7. I agree with you. And hold on, let me see if I can pull up this message from Brooklyn Rob. So you have this going for you. If the Heat win tonight, he's going to start a GoFundMe to send Brady to Philly. I mean, honestly, Rob, you should start that even if the Heat lose, because we'll need it even more. Like if the Heat lose tonight, they've got to win Game 6 in Philly, no question. So we got to get Brady on the road, and then you can try the cheesesteak and report back.
That's a good point. I like that we just tied all that together. The thing is, the reason I don't think they're sending me out if they lose is because I might not be good luck if they lose in this game when I'm there. So it might all come down to this game.
That's a good point. Yeah, you and Brooklyn Rob are both smarter than me. That makes sense because, yeah, he's right. Because Brooklyn Rob, he's the only person on the planet who's more superstitious than I am. So he thinks about these things that I don't think about because he's right. You're going to be in the arena tonight. If the Heat lose, good luck is over. So why would we send you to? That's a good point by Brooklyn Rob. Brady, let the people know, my friend, is you provide so much info and entertainment on this show. And actually, hold on, before I let Brady plug his stuff, I always like to do this when Brady is on because people don't smash the like button for me. They smash the like button for Brady Hawk. Hit that like button, hit the thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5 Reasons Sports. Where else can people hear you, see you, and read you on the network this week?
Yeah, 5reasonsports.com, 5 takeaways after the game, at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter, and obviously 5 on the floor after the game.
Even though we found out that you're a fraud and you don't really live in the 305.
Basically, I have to take a hike up there, so I probably have to leave now.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Enjoy fighting the traffic tonight, and I'm going to be able to watch comfortably knowing that Brady's in the building. Have a great evening and enjoy the game.
Thanks for having me on.
I love it. Great stuff there by Brady Hawk. Oh, I can't thank you enough for the super chat. Darius Jordan, he says, can there be minutes with Duncan playing as a 4? I don't know. And listen, I'm all about like the positionless stuff, small lineups. I don't know that the idea of Duncan even like unofficially being a 4 scares me a little bit. Like a lineup of Depot, Strus, Hero, Jimmy, Duncan, Bam. Is he big enough? No, he's not. To answer that question, no. I do appreciate the super chat though, but if we're playing Duncan at the 4, it's Sixers in 6. But I appreciate you, Darius. And that was it's funny. I was just talking about Darius Rucker, and Darius Jordan appears. So we're caught. We got the Darius signal out there. If there are any other Darius is watching, we appreciate you guys. David says it's going to be a long game tonight. Yeah, it's going to be tense, and unless it's a blowout. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Like I think the Heat will take the 3-2 lead tonight, but I think it's going to come down to like the final 3-4 minutes of the fourth quarter, if not the final couple possessions. Like I think it's going to be a closer game. And, for those who believe in my mush powers, I will say that, the Heat are 2.5-point favorites tonight. I don't think I'm going to bet on the game, which is probably a good thing. I did win. I don't bet on every Heat game because I'm worried about the effects that I'm going to have on the basketball game. For as irrational as that may sound, I'm superstitious. I think I bet on game 1 when they covered. I didn't bet on game 2, and then I bet on game 3, and Heat lost and didn't cover. That's where I'm at. I bet on 2 out of the first 4 games so far. I'm probably going to take a pass for tonight, just so you guys know. But hey, if you want to bet on the game, and this is where I bet on every game that I bet on, and I bet on a lot of games, and I love it. BetUS.com is our official sports book. So yeah, if you do want some action tonight, and I know we have Sixers fans watching. We appreciate you guys being here. You guys can sign up at betus.com with our code 5RSN125. This is a full service sports book, full service online sports book. And for all the Floridians watching, yes, it is available in Florida. People ask me that all the time. I hear you talking about this, but can I use it in Florida? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. BetUS.com. Our code 5RSN125 is going to get you a 125% sign up bonus. You can bet sports. You can play in their online casino, play blackjack for real money. I do that in there a lot. It's a lot of fun. Bet on horses. Kentucky Derby last weekend. Hope you guys won big time money on that, guys. Pop culture props even at betus.com. They have live betting, by the way, on all of it. So even like if you forget to bet the Heat game before tip-off tonight, they're going to have live odds. So you can even, sometimes that's happened to me where I forget to place a pregame wager and then I go on and I use the live betting. It's really great. So the Heat are 2.5-point favorites tonight. If you want to bet on Philly to cover -2.5 or plus, if you want to bet on Philly to cover +2.5 or the Heat to cover -2.5, they're favored by 2.5 points. You can get that action at betus.com. So sign up with our code 5RSN125. You bet. You win, you get paid. BetUS.com. The daily fantasy sports provider. I got to get a banner that covers the full screen. It's like, hello, you see my hands? Hello. Prize Picks, mobile app at prizepicks.com. The official daily fantasy sports provider on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Guys, at Prize Picks, it is you versus the numbers, man. You select 2, 3, 4 players, and they don't have to all be from the same game or even the same sport. You can go cross-sport, cross-league with your selections and win real money. You can win 10 times your money for getting 4 predictions correct. It's all going down on the Prize Picks mobile app and prizepicks.com. And when you're there, make sure you type in our code 5. That's FIVE. And they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. Let me go through some shout outs for today. Trade Lowry for Ben Simmons. So, I mean, you want to trade an old injury-prone guy for a young, injury-prone and psychological mess? Maybe. What are you talking about? Lowry for Simmons, someone says. Ben. Oh, man. So huge shout out there to I'm That Dude, S. Warrior, Nick. Thank you all for tuning in. Okay, I don't know about this. He says, can you use which municipality? I don't know. Like, how specific do you want to get? He says, can you use BetUS within the walls of a municipality? Asking for a friend. I don't know if that's a joke of a question. It probably is. But if it's not a joke, try it, man. There's only one way to find out. Because if for whatever area you're in, if it's not available, they will tell you. Like if you can use it in Florida, guys. I think in any municipality. But if you're somewhere in the United States or Canada, because I think there may be different restrictions in Canada, if you can't use it, they won't let you make a deposit. They will tell you not available in your location. So if it's not, best way to find out is to try it at betus.com. George, thank you so much for tuning in. I would trade a pair of cowboy boots. I wouldn't trade a pair of cowboy boots for Ben Simmons. Cowboy boots are expensive. I've never bought a pair for myself. I can remember, and maybe some people have seen this, like a big roadside attraction. It's been so long. I don't remember exactly what highway, but years ago, I was making a drive from Denver, Colorado to Salt Lake City, Utah. And then along a big stretch of highway, like every mile, there was a sign that said, world's best cowboy hats, like 10 miles. World's best cowboy hats, 9 miles, 8 miles, 7 miles. It was like the old Yeehaw Junction signs. You guys remember those when you were, driving between Miami and Orlando or, anywhere on the Florida Turnpike, like 3 miles to Yeehaw Junction, 2 miles, 1 mile. It was like that with like the world's best cowboy hats or something. And I actually stopped there just, I can't pull off a cowboy hat. I don't think. Maybe I could. I don't know. But I remember looking at, because they sold like cowboy hats, the Stetsons, and cowboy boots. And my God, it's all very expensive. Like to look like a fucking ranch hand is going to cost you a pretty penny. Like you want to look like you change a horse trough for a living. You want to dress like that. It's really expensive to do that, man. So yeah, I took a hard pass on the Stetsons and the cowboy boots. But I don't know. Maybe I should try to pull off that look sometime and see where it gets me. Because I don't know, man. I don't think I can pull it off. Indeed. Thank you so much for tuning in. S. Warrior, thank you so much. Sixers needed a near perfect game, and for us to have a couple of the worst shooting performances ever to win. Yeah, I think at home, I think the Heat will shoot better, and I think the Sixers will be less perfect than perfect. So I think we're going to get a bounce back. Will Yurtseven get some minutes tonight? I doubt it, but we will see. Your boy Ayus, thank you so much. Harden will shock Miami. I mean, he already did in game 4. I hope he doesn't shock us, or maybe he'll shock us by sucking again, although that wouldn't shock anybody. Philip, thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm going to have to go a little fast with the shout-outs because I do have to leave in a moment to take my kid to the dentist. Shake Money, thank you so much. Go Canes, though. Out of here with this Gators nonsense. And by the way, you guys, if you get a chance, I am the host of the Locked On Canes podcast, and even Gator fans like Shake Money have said I do a good job on that. I don't want to tell his secret that he enjoyed Locked On Canes, but I host the Locked On Canes podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. So subscribe to the audio feed. Just search Locked On Canes, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever. And we just launched our YouTube channel about a week ago. I do a show where, I rant and rave similar to the way I do here, except I'm, mostly talking Canes football on that show. So subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube. And, oh, thank you so much. Our guy listening, watching from Philly, I appreciate you, Ethan. Hoping for no injury for either team. May the best team win. That's a big one. We've had some players banged up. The Heat have a long injury list. Kyle Lowry's not going to play. I think everyone else on the list, including I saw Tyler Hero, was questionable. Everybody else is going to play, but they've got some kind of nicks and bruises. And obviously Joel Embiid has been dealing with some stuff. I think that's the right attitude, Ethan. And both sides should have that. Heat fans, Sixer fans, just hope nobody gets hurt. That's the biggest thing. I appreciate that sentiment. Eli James, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me throw out a couple more, and I got to get out of here. Kevin K, thank you so much. Only play Duncan when Embiid comes out. Yeah, because if Duncan breathes on Embiid, they're calling the foul. Like, we know that, so he may be right about that. We got 2 super chats today. Ethan and Darius, thank you so much for that. William Cody, thank you so much. Brett, the movie guy who William was talking to there. Tony 2 times, thank you so much for tuning in. Canes 1989, thank you. David, thank you. Fernando, thank you so much. And please, everybody hit that like button. Yes, sir. Ethan, thank you for hitting the like button and for the super chat. K. Robinson, I assume he's not asking me this. He's asking somebody in the chat if you were in Boston. I can only speak for, I don't know if anybody here is in Boston. Maybe I'm not in Boston. Is it because of the hat? Do I look like I'm in Boston? That might be. No, I'm in Kendall, Florida. Proud. 305. Poetic Lifestyle, thank you. Colin, thank you so much. Brooklyn Rob, I probably shouted him out a couple times already. Emery, thank you so much for tuning in. Daniel Layton, who you see here, thank you so much. And I'm going to have to wrap up the shout outs there. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I don't think I missed any super chats. I think I got those in. Thank you guys so much for the support. And honestly, everything you guys do with the interactions, it's great for my show and for the channel. Hitting the like button is huge. Subscribing to the channel if you haven't already is massive. The biggest thing you can do for this show, though, is support our sponsors. We're going to be adding a couple more things into the mix, I think, soon. But make sure, if you want action, betus.com is the place to go. 5RSN125 is our code. Gives you a sweet sign-up bonus. And for daily fantasy, you want to make sure you get at us here on prizepicks.com and the PrizePicks mobile app. Use our code 5FIVE. So support our sponsors. A lot of this stuff is stuff you're going to do anyway, right? If you want to bet on games, use our guys. You want to play daily fantasy, use our guys. Help them out. You help us out. So we will talk to you guys. Oh, IMAX. I almost missed you, IMAX. I see you in there. I see you, sir. The day is saved. We got in IMAX. He's here every freaking day. I can't thank you enough. All right, so we'll be on at 2 o'clock tomorrow, 2 o'clock on Thursday. I don't think I'm going to have a show Friday because we are going up for a short, long weekend. We're taking my kid up to Disney World, which I'm sure is going to be crazy because it's going to be hot out there, man. It's going to be hot. So, yeah, I'm going to be waiting in long lines, sweating my ass off, but still, man, we do it for the kids. He's going to have a good time. So we will talk to you guys again tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons